Wonderful. All right. Well, welcome once again, everyone. So happy to be here with you all today for your October deep dive. So today we're talking all about boosting client retention using Practice Better. So I'm Jen Miller and this is Brittany. We are both business success coaches with Practice Better. And if you have joined us for these before, you would know us and have seen our faces. And we're so happy to be here with you today. So thank you everyone for joining. So before we dive into our topic today, I just wanted to go over a couple housekeeping items just to make sure we're all on the same page before we go into today's session. So we're going to definitely use the chat. So I see that lots of you have been commenting in the chat, letting us know where you're joining from, which is awesome. But as we go along, if you do have questions or comments, you're welcome to put those into the chat. We will try our best to get to what we can, but of course, there's lots of you joining us today, so we can't answer everything, but just know that you are supported. If you don't get your question answered today, that our customer success team is always there to support you. You can reach out to them anytime at help@practicebetter.io. So just know that. This is being recorded, so you'll get a replay afterward. It'll also be posted to our YouTube channel as we have a lot of our amazing content there. And one last thing before we jump in is just that we have a feedback survey that we always share at the end of these sessions that we will be also asking you to complete, just taking, even 30 seconds, 1 minute of your time to give us a little feedback on the session today. We value it so much and it really helps us support you better going forward because we know what you'd like to see. We can create better content, all of that. So at the end of the session, you'll notice that when it ends, a new window will pop up with the survey, but I'm also going to copy that link into the chat right now in case you can't stay till the end and you do want to give us some feedback. So I just put that, or I'll put that into the chat right now. So you got that survey link there. Okay. Beautiful. Let's get started. So like we said, today we're talking all about client retention using Practice Better. And of course, this is a really important component of any health and wellness business, right? So no matter what type of practitioner you are, this is something that is, top of mind for you. And so what we really wanted to share is how you can actually retain those clients in Practice Better. So some of the really key features that you can use throughout the whole client journey to keep working with your clients, to encourage them to continue to engage with you. So we're going to really use the client journey as sort of our format for discussing these different client retention strategies. Okay, so hopefully that is going to be helpful for all of you today. So before we jump in, let's actually, Britt, maybe go ahead and share your screen and then we can turn our cameras off and we'll dive in. We're going to actually show the platform as a guide for our session today. So
great. Can you see my screen there? Everything looks good?
Yeah, it looks great there. First, what I wanted to talk about before we sort of show some of these different strategies and features in the platform is just, what exactly is client retention? Like, why is this important to a health and wellness business or practice? Really with client retention, it's this ability to retain or maintain your clients. So this idea of having repeat clients. So maybe clients that purchase multiple offerings who continue to work with you in some capacity. And so, for a health practice, it's important to have then, almost multiple types of offerings that your client can engage with so that as they progress along their client journey, they can continue to work with you, right? Because if you just have one type of offering, then they may, work with you in that offering and then, they don't have any next steps. So that's why we wanted to frame this as sort of the client journey and looking at the different opportunities to retain your clients throughout that journey. And a lot of you may have heard this, but it's a common, I think, sort of fact that it's more almost expensive for you as a business to gain new clients than it is to retain your existing clients, right? So it's important to have a bit of a strategy around how you're going to do that and put efforts into that retention piece so that you can really have that make sense for your business. Okay, so I want to to put a little question out to all of you. So who feels like you have really great client retention, and maybe who feels like this is something you really need to improve on, or you want to improve in this area? So just let us know in the chat sort of where you fall in that spectrum. Obviously it's not black or white, but yeah, just let us know sort of where you're at with client retention, because that will help guide us here. So yeah, I see some need to improve, could be better. Yeah, I feel like I'm floundering. Okay, just getting started. Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of people are sort of in that camp of wanting to improve, maybe just getting started, looking for some strategies. Lots of comments coming in. I need help.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think, it can feel a little overwhelming at first when you are starting to work with clients. If you are at that place in your client journey, or in your journey in your practice, to know, what kind of strategies you can use. So today we're going to really dive into that for you. Yeah, so where we wanted to start is really, again, looking at the client journey and sort of the first phase in that, which, when a client is first going to engage with you, the first type of offering that they'll likely work with you on is something free, or maybe just a really low cost offering. So Britt's going to sort of show us here, a few ways that you can retain your client through that phase of working with them on that free or low cost offering. And this is often the stage where the person is first being introduced into, the value and expertise you have to offer. And it's important to nurture them in an effort to really retain them and turn them into then a paying client if it is a free offering that you're working with them on first. So that means really, building that strong initial relationship with them, that personal connection, finding opportunities to really share your expertise and introduce them also to how else you can help them. So it sort of feels like this natural next step to working together to sort of move into that paid offering with you. So yeah, Britt, let's take a look at how we could facilitate that in practice better.
Perfect. So like Jen said, we want to kind of start this demo off talking about a low barrier free offer, which is being used intentionally to draw people into my practice and show them the type of value that I can deliver. So I've gone from my practice over to my programs, where I have built a really simple 5-day mindful eating challenge using the fixed state program feature. So let's take a look at this. So the idea here is that if the free offering provided benefits the client and provides them those kind of quick wins, imagine what it will look like when we work more in depth together. So what I've done here is I have created a 5-day challenge where each day has its own module, where it feels very approachable and very kind of high level for the client to get a taste of the type of value that I can provide. So I've got a module for each day, and then a group session. So like Jen mentioned, one thing that's really important for client retention is developing a relationship with your clients, making them feel very valued, finding that personal connection, and just kind of building a relationship with them. So on the last, or I guess the second last day of my 5-day challenge, I had a group program check-in where all my members could come and get some FaceTime with me, chat through questions. We could talk about support and progress and all of that good stuff. So as you can see here, the way that I have designed this program today, October 28th, we are in the last day of the 5-day challenge. So when coming up with a content plan and what you're rolling out to your clients, you can start to think about how your offerings can flow one into the next. They can build on each other so that they can be a natural progression for your clients to continue on with. So I've strategically planned the dates of this 5-day free challenge to line up with a bigger offering, and we'll continue to show that as the demo proceeds today. So the thought here is that anyone who has partaken in my 5-day challenge are likely great candidates for my next bigger offering, which is going to be a 6-week program. So they've already expressed interest in what I do, and hopefully at this point, the type of value that I can provide. So I want to ensure that I let the challenge participants know of my upcoming 6-week program, as this could be a really good opportunity for them to dive deeper into the value that I can provide and experience those benefits. And then as a practitioner, I'm supporting client retention in my business. So to let my clients know, I'm going to send all of them a broadcast message to keep clients warm and notify them of my next offering. So for anyone that's not familiar, broadcast messages enable you to talk to multiple clients at once. So we're going to show that here. You can either email them or send them a chat, and you can access this through your red fast action button on your program overview page. And then it will be set up really nicely to go specifically to your program participants. So let's take a look at that here. Send them a broadcast message. So I want this to be a thank you and new offer message. And then I'm able to select how I want that to go out. So I can say a direct chat message, an email. You get to choose what works best for you. And then you can choose to send it immediately or actually schedule it in the future. So given that today is the last day of my 5-day challenge, I actually want to send this out this evening. So I'm going to take today's date and then send it tonight after our program has wrapped up. You can see that because I have selected this from the program overview page, everyone that was already enrolled in my program has been checked off automatically. So I can hit next here. And then given that I selected this as an email, I get to put in a subject. So again, I'll just put thank you and new offer, and then the title here. So I'm actually going to just do this and actually use our placeholders. So placeholder text will pull information from the client profile. So you get to choose from their full name, their first name or last name. So I'll just do their first name, and you can see how this is starting to kind of fill out here. And then I can type my message. So I have already kind of pre-drafted this for the sake of today's demo. So let's kind of format that. And because I've selected this as an email, I get to kind of add some line breaks and different formatting into the email here. All right, so one nice thing here is that I want to provide my program participants with an exclusive offer. So part of my retention strategy here is making them feel very valued and special and offering them something exclusive that the general public does not get. So as a thank you for them being a past client, they're getting an early access discount code to my next offering. So they're getting a really nice coupon code of 50% off here. And because I'm sending this through email, I get to bold that and format it. And then the next thing that I've included here in my message is a short link to a registration page for my program. So when this is clicked here, and hopefully you can see this pop up, maybe Jen, you can let me know, this brings us to the 6-week to optimal digestion registration page where they get an overview and they can learn more about the next offering. So it makes it really seamless for them to see what the next offering is and follow through on the next steps. So once I have all of this formatted, I can go ahead and click next, review who it's going to be sent to, and then schedule this out. So this is a really nice way for one offering to lead into the next to make sure that you are going to be sending those clients a message right when that first offer ends, and they can flow seamlessly into your program. So when my 5-day challenge ends, I've got a few days to get in those registrants before my program starts a few days later.
Yeah, I love that strategy, Britt. And it's so important what you mentioned about, all the ways that you can nurture that, prospective client, really, if they're entering into a free offering before they've sort of disengaged with that offering. So, sending that broadcast message before the challenge is over, that kind of thing. I think that's so beneficial. And so helpful. So yeah, I think you may have seen the question about where they can set up the coupon codes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So from my practice, you're just going to go down to billings and payments. Once you're there, you're going to select the coupon tab. You'll use the red fast action button down here in the corner to create a new coupon, but I'll show you this one because the fields are the exact same. So this will pop up. You get to put in the code. So you can select whatever you want that to read as. Mine is early bird 50. From there, you can select the discount type. So that can be either percentage or a fixed amount. And then you can say that you want either, say, $100 off as a fixed amount. Maybe you want it to be percentage based like I have here. You can choose an expiry date. So I have mine ending for November 1st, which is the first day of my 6-week program. So that ends right as the program begins. And then I have a max number of redemptions. So this is optional, but if you want to kind of cap how many you're offering, you can put that number in there and then link it to whatever package you're actually wanting to offer that discount on. So maybe you're having like a Black Friday sale and you want to put it on all your offerings, or maybe this is something like we're talking about today where you want to offer it on something very specific. So you can select that and then save, and your coupon code is good to go. So anyone that is given this early bird 50 name here can input that and they'll save the money off the registration price.
Perfect. Yeah, and I do see one question, just wanting to clarify a little bit more about the Practice Better features as it relates to programs and courses. So just to answer that question, Bree, that you asked, yes, you can run your programs and courses right in Practice Better. So you can run a fixed date program. So that's what Britt is showing us in this example, where it's a 5-day challenge. So that's happening in real time. It's going to run for 5 days. So that's set up as a fixed date course. And then you can also run evergreen programs as well. So evergreen is a little bit different in that you can have clients sort of sign up at any point and you can choose to drip out the content to them based on when they signed up, or you can just have all of the information available to them right off the bat. So that could be more of like a self-paced course, but we'll go into a little bit more detail on some of that, but just wanted to sort of set that stage if there was anyone else that was wondering, just a little bit more background on the programs piece. Awesome. And then one other question I did want to address that I saw in the chat, I did answer it in the chat, but just to confirm, the broadcast message feature that Britt has showed us there, that is available indeed on the Plus plan and up. So just to confirm that for everyone as well. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions here before we move on. There was also one, someone asked about, do clients see each other for privacy purposes? And I think perhaps they were referring to within the program or within the broadcast message or the chat. And so if you are setting up a group chat for your program, so say it's the 5-day challenge, you can choose if you want to allow the registrants to have their name and photos viewed to each other. So if you want to keep everyone anonymous, you can. Yeah, Britt's just showing us here. Just exactly what you can have visible there. So you have a little bit of choice in terms of, what you want to show to other members of the chat there. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
Yeah, and just further to that, if it is in relation to the broadcast message, so that is received as an individual message to each person. It doesn't come through as a group message where responses will all be seen. So you'll get that all individually.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think just to sort of summarize that first step, like I was saying, I think it's just really important how Britt shared to really nurture that prospective client and have really, really excellent communication so that you can, hopefully allow them to be motivated to move into your next offering with you. And Britt has sort of shared that could be, for example, a group program. So that's, could be a next step along the client journey roadmap. Of course, each client's going to be a little different in how they move along that roadmap, but that could be a natural next step, is for them to move into maybe a group program or a course with you. And, often, maybe they're not quite ready to commit to like one-on-one work with you, or maybe that's not something you offer in your practice. But the group program or course is a really nice next step for them, and retaining them at that stage. Really, you want to focus and ensure that they get the full value out of that course or program. So really making sure they're engaged and kept accountable, and that they experience some of those positive results, right, from whatever your offering is in that program or course. That will encourage them to keep going, entice them to continue working with you even beyond that. And then again, at this stage, communication is very key. So again, similarly, finding opportunities to mention your offer for a deeper way to work together. Something that, again, feels like a natural next step. Yeah, so Britt, why don't you share with us some of the features that will help them retain clients at this part of the client journey?
Definitely. So we're moving through the client journey to join the 6-week program as kind of that next step. So again, I have built out this kind of next iteration as, again, a fixed date program. Now with this one, I want to kind of draw to your attention that this is no longer a free offering, right? So this is a fixed fee program where they are paying a lump sum. So it's a bigger commitment from the client. And it might be easier for a client to say yes to making a payment like this, given that they've already seen the type of value that I can provide. So that's why kind of starting with that free 5-day challenge is a really nice way to kick things off before kind of approaching your audience and saying, I've got this great program and here's the price tag associated with it. So it might be a little bit easier to handle those objections and kind of hesitations if they already know who you are and the value that you can provide. Let's go back and take a look here at the 6-week program. So this is a longer offering, and each module here is going to be a week. And you can see that the focus here is on digestion for the sake of the example today. And through the duration of the program, you'll want clients to feel engaged and supported, because this is another thing that's going to really help with client retention. And a great way to keep clients engaged through a program is to offer group sessions at regular intervals throughout the entire duration of the course. So we wanted to show you guys recurring sessions, which is a fairly new feature to the Practice Better platform and one that we're very excited about. So I want to complete this in real time with you to show you just how easy this is to set up. So let's schedule these sessions together for our group program. So one thing to mention as you set up a recurring session for the group program, you will need a group service already in the services that you offer. So I'm going to select from those that I have my group program check-in. Okay, so it's already got all of the registrants for my program already here on the invite list. From here, I can select the date and time. So my program is starting November. So maybe I want to do every Thursday a weekly session with my clients. Maybe we'll put this for the evening. You get to select, what makes the most sense for you and your group. If you're planning to do this virtually, you will need to integrate with Zoom. So we have 2 telehealth features with Practice Better. One is the built-in Practice Better telehealth feature. The next is Zoom. So if you're looking to do group, you will need that Zoom integration. So once I have the service, the invite list, the time and date all set, I can head over to this reoccurrence options tab. I'm going to toggle this over. Now I want this to repeat weekly. I've got a couple different options here, and I want it to take place every week on Thursday. So you can see that it's kind of pulling information over from what I set up on that last slide there. And given this is a 6-week program, I'm going to scroll back up to 6 so that we have 1 session every week for the duration of the program. You do have the option of sending yourself a reminder when the series ends. For this particular example, I don't feel like I need that, so I'm going to skip that. And then I'm going to hit confirm. It will let you know if there is any conflicts in your calendar, and you can choose to, suggest a different time or just accept the conflict. So let's just schedule that for the sake of an example today. And then you are done. So now with a very simple 1 step, I have got scheduled sessions for the duration of my program. So previous to this feature being introduced, this was a manual process where you would have to go in and individually schedule all of these out. So a really big time saver now having these reoccurring sessions. And it's going to make it really easy for your client to build a relationship with you when they're seeing you weekly. They're getting that sense of community from the other members in the group, which is going to help them feel supported and accountable with their own outcomes. So all of that really lends into retaining clients, which of course is the theme of today. All right. So with that in mind, a group program isn't where the client journey needs to end. So I saw in the chat earlier as we were talking about it that clients will typically be done with you when they feel independent and ready to kind of go it out on their own. Group programs can offer tremendous benefits, but typically cater to the group versus the individual, right? So oftentimes we make them a little bit more high level. So if a client has specific concerns, they'd like your expertise and support on, this could be a great upsell opportunity and a chance to retain your client into the next stage of working together. So similar to the end of the challenge, we're going to send them out another broadcast message to kind of wrap things up and let them know about kind of the next opportunity that you can offer them. So I'm actually going to go up to the messaging icon here in the top right and go over to the broadcast messages. So you can access that through this tab here on the left. Now I've already got this scheduled. So this is the end of 6-week digestion program here. So as we saw in our last example, you can schedule this out in advance. So I'd like to send this out as an email. We've already been through these steps, but I wanted to show you a couple other ideas that you can include in the message that you send out to your program participants. So I've actually set up a tag, so that's really easy to send that out to them. And now I've got my message here. So as a couple different strategies here, I want to offer them again something exclusive. So what I've done is I've offered them a couple bonus follow-up sessions completely free. So again, this is an exclusive offer to those that are coming from my 6-week program. The general public won't necessarily see this. So when I created my package, I was very easily able to duplicate that and then just add those couple of extra sessions in there. And we'll go through kind of what this looks like when we're working together and how we can set clients up for success. But they've got that short link where they can learn all the details about what it looks like to work one-on-one with me and see exactly what that entails by following that short link, which I can hyperlink in the email here. The other idea that I wanted to share with you is creating a service of a free follow-up call to take place after the 6-week program. So when you're offering them the opportunity to work one-on-one with you, if they have any objections or hesitations, oftentimes it's best to just handle those things on the phone. That way they can be upfront with you to express, where their hesitations are coming from and any concerns. So similar to kind of a discovery call, I've set up a free follow-up call that the client can book right from that message that I'm sending out to them at the end of my program. So they can choose to hop on the phone with me or we can video chat. And this way, any questions that they have, I can answer in real time and they'll be more likely to take that next step with me. So maybe their hesitation is the price and I put them on a payment plan. Maybe they don't know entirely what working one-on-one is going to offer them that they didn't get in the group program. So this can be your opportunity to really get clear on those answers with your client. Okay, so that's scheduled automatically to be sent out at the end of the program. So once I have that drafted and scheduled, I don't have to think about it. So I can actually kind of come up with this whole plan at the beginning of my program, right as I'm coming up with the initial content for that. All right, so let's go with that. All right, so that's kind of what it looks like, a few different ideas before they get into the one-on-one sessions. Jen, do we have any questions?
Yeah, that's awesome, Britt. So I did see a question about, can you add participants to the group sessions after the session has been created and scheduled? So yes, you could, definitely. You could, if you had, a new client or, anyone else join. The one thing to note is if you have your program and your recurring sessions set up inside of that fixed date program, like Britt had shown, if anyone registers in that program, they'll be automatically enrolled in all of those sessions. So even if you had already created it and most of your clients had joined the program and were enrolled in the sessions, but you had someone join late, they would still be enrolled once they join the program in all of those sessions. Or you could just, if you ever needed to manually add anyone to a session, you could do that too. So just wanted to highlight that. Let's see here. All right. So someone asked, what if clients are higher profile and don't necessarily want their names published in a group environment, but still want to be part of a group challenge? Yeah, so we sort of did address that in regards to the chat earlier, that you do have a few settings that you can modify to sort of change what client information is shown or not shown as it relates to the chat itself. But if you don't have a group chat going on, then you wouldn't have to worry about that. the client won't be able to see, as long as you uncheck the box that Britt's showing, just this one in the middle at the first section there, allow clients to view participant list, just uncheck that, and that will make sure that they can't see the other participants and they can't see each other. Okay, great question. All right, and I did see a couple comments about people being excited about the recurring sessions feature. We're super happy about that as well. We know it's been something that you have all been asking for a while. So yeah, we're really happy about that too. And we're super excited to sort of profile that in the session today. Okay, awesome. Let's see here. Okay, well, I just actually wanted to take a moment and just sort of check in with everyone. I know we're covering a lot of ground in our session today, so let us know in the chat what has resonated with you most so far from the session, maybe a certain feature that really stuck out to you or a strategy for attention. Let us know what has really stood out to you and has resonated with you today. So just put that into the chat. We'd love to hear. Group sessions, yeah. Cool. The broadcast message feature, yes, absolutely. I need to get my programs uploaded to Practice Better and start marketing. Nice. I love the follow messages at the end linking to the next session. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like there's some good takeaways from today's session. And just to reiterate, this is being recorded. So if you do want to go back and rewatch any sections that you may have missed some stuff, that's going to be available to you after. So you can go back anytime and pause and rewind and go back, and it'll be a resource that you have going forward. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, and someone's asking, where can you get the recording? So we'll send out the replay with the recording to everyone who registered for today. And then it's also going to be always housed on our YouTube channel, which is public and available to everyone. Okay. All right. Wonderful. All right. So Britt, are you ready to continue forward?
Yeah, let's talk about one-on-one sessions. So I'm going to go to my services where I have set up a package. A client wanting to work one-on-one with you will likely have specific goals and support they're looking for your expertise on. And this may require a longer duration of time working together and a number of touch points to ensure progress. So packages work great as you can offer a grouping of services over a period of time. So you can see here that I've got my 4-month package, and then that offer that I gave to my program participants of the 2 bonus follow-up sessions is there as well. One thing that I want to kind of draw attention to is that you'll notice that we've gone from a paid offering to a larger paid offering, or sorry, a free offering to a paid offering, and now it's getting a little bit higher in value. So as you get more specific with each client, that's something that you can kind of build up to working with them. So something to kind of keep in mind. And that's why working with clients that you already have and you've already kind of shown your value can be really helpful when it comes to these bigger paid offerings, is again, they've already had a really great experience working with you. They've seen the value that you can provide. So you have a little bit more ground to stand on when it comes to these offerings, and there'll be less hesitations when people see that kind of price tag associated with what you're offering. So I want to show you here that when you are building out your packages, you can provide a really thorough description as to what you're going to be including. So this is really important, as setting client expectations can be a huge factor in how engaged a client stays, whether they see through the program, and essentially how well you're able to retain them throughout the entire process. If somebody knows what to expect, they know that they're making the right choice when they're actually signing up with you in the first place. So they'll likely be more engaged throughout the entire time as well. So let's say that we have our, everything set up here, and our client Mary, who we messaged after our 6-week package, she's now ready to work one-on-one together. So I'm going to head over to my client Mary. So for my clients, just down to Mary Smith here. She's our demo client today. And I'm going to head over on the left-hand menu here to bookings and packages. And then up at the top here, you can see that Mary has gone forward with that 4-month package with the 2 bonus follow-ups. So I want to show you guys how easy it is to, again, set up those sessions when you're working with long duration packages with your clients. So I'm going to click book sessions here. Mary has already booked her initial consultation, but I want to book all these follow-up sessions. So let's click into this here. Now, this is going to be very similar to when you've booked any kind of service with any client in the past. You get to select the service, the time and date. So we are going to go, we're kind of working forward with the calendar here because Mary is going to be going through her 6-week program. Let's go December 21st. All right, and we're going to select 1 p.m. We're going to be doing this service virtually. Great. Now we can select the reoccurrence options. So with Mary's package, she gets bi-weekly visits with me. So I'm going to keep it at weekly, set this to every 2 weeks, and that is going to take place on Tuesday. Now I actually am going to bump this back to 6. So she got those 2 bonus follow-up sessions, but I'm going to let her decide when she wants to use those. And this series ending, I actually do want a reminder here because this is an opportunity for me to, before the very last session, say to my client, how are you feeling? Maybe she wants to buy a couple of extra follow-up sessions from me. Maybe she wants to use those 2 bonus ones because she needs a little bit more time working one-on-one together. So that reminder is going to come in really handy for me. All right, so now I can preview all the sessions that are coming up by the bottom left here, so I know exactly kind of when they will be popping up in both of our calendars. And now I can click add. And now I'm going to click book all. So again, this is just so nice because beforehand, this was a manual process. I would have had to book all 6 of those by kind of individually going in and scheduling them. And now they're all there for me. So these can kind of act as placeholders for Mary. And, you know, if something comes up, we can take that as it comes, but they are now all there in her calendar. So again, super nice for when you're working in packages for a longer duration of time. The other thing that I want to do to set Mary up for success here, I'm actually going to just go back to her profile, is I want to send her a check-in form that's going to come regularly before each follow-up session. So I want this to actually happen, say, a couple days before the follow-up session so that as a practitioner, I have a couple of days to review the information and actually compile any notes beforehand. So I am going to send a form. So I'm looking to send my progress check-in form to Mary. I can add any additional notes if that's relevant here. And I want this to be sent out preemptively before every follow-up session. So I am going to be, again, using that reoccurrence option here, toggling that over. This is going to happen every 2 weeks to follow kind of the same pattern of the follow-up sessions. So because we have that session happening on December 21st, I'm going to put it on the Friday here. That'll go out in the morning. So I want this sent every 2 weeks rather, on the Friday, and I can choose when this ends. So of course, I don't want this to go indefinitely because this is only a 4-month package, right? So I can actually choose when this ends. So we'll put that in March. Again, I can review my upcoming schedule and now confirm and send. So now before every before every follow-up session, the end of the week, she'll be given a check-in form. She can fill out the progress that she's experiencing. We can talk about, you know, the goals that we set last session. And then I have it for that, that follow-up meeting early next week. All right, so Jen, do we have any questions about that?
Yeah, so there's a few things that have been coming through. So one thing I'll just address right now. So someone sounds like they may have tried to set up the recurring form, but it may have had some issues. So if you are having any challenges, again, I'll just revert back to our CS team, are your best resource. They are amazing. So you can reach out to them for support at help@practicebetter.io, and they can troubleshoot with you if needed. So just know that's available to you. So going back to the package piece, so there was a question around, could you make a package private so that other people who weren't in your first program don't see it as an option? Yeah, so you can, as you can sort of see on Britt's packages, there's a little public icon on all of them. So that means those ones are public and are viewable on your booking page, but you can go in and edit and make that a private package. So just scrolling down here. Yeah, there it is. So public, I think just going down a little bit further, Britt, here. There we go. Yeah, under booking restrictions. So if you only want you to be able to, share that package with clients, then you can take it off of the public option, and that will make sure that, other clients don't see that on your booking page. So you could even just keep it as private, but send the link to specific clients, the booking link, then that would be a great alternative for you.
One thing I want to just share too that I've added to this, given that I have these bonus follow-up sessions, is in the terms and conditions, I've actually added a bonus follow-up sessions kind of disclaimer so that clients know what that actually means, when they can use them, when they expire, they have all the terms and conditions. There is a character limit here with the description. So this is a way that I can include that extra body of information that the client will have to acknowledge when they're booking this, so that they have those details because they are getting that bonus. So just one thing to kind of share with you there as well.
Yeah, that's a great one, Brett. Another question about packages. So maybe we'll just stay inside of this one. So someone asked, is there a way to sell a package of visits, but bill each visit individually? My regulator doesn't allow selling visits in advance, including packages. So what you could do in that case, if you did still want to use a package, is you could, Brett, if you go back into your package, you can just make that package like free at the moment, just in terms of that will then allow the client to like purchase the package and get signed up for all of those sessions. But then you could just send like a manual invoice then each time you have a session with them. So following that session, then you can just manually send an invoice for that. So that could be one workaround that you could do. Britt, was there something else you wanted to share on that too?
Just where they can access the invoicing. So yeah, that would probably be the best bet if you can't receive payment up front. Yeah, you can actually say no payment required. So that can be an alternative where they still see the fee, but they don't actually have to pay up front.
Yeah, that's a great option too. Actually, that's probably a better way to do it, because then they know the investment, but they aren't required to pay right away. So yeah, love that. Okay, awesome. So I know there's a lot of questions. Again, we can't get to everything today, but we really value all your questions. So definitely save those and send them to our CS team if we aren't able to get to everything. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think let's continue on the client journey. So yeah, as Britt has been sharing here with the one-on-one work together, there's always sort of an opportunity to potentially continue working together, even beyond that stage, right? So this could look like something along the lines of like maybe more spread out follow-up sessions, a maintenance program, something along those lines. And also one thing to keep in mind too is not all clients will be maybe a fit for one-on-one work. So they may be even moving along the client journey from like the group program or course directly to the maintenance stage. So they may not always touch on that one-on-one stage. So this doesn't necessarily need to be a linear client journey, but that was just, one example of how that could work. But when we're getting to sort of this ongoing support maintenance program type part in the client journey, it's, this type of support is likely less intensive for you as a practitioner, probably more spread out. It might be actually just self-paced in nature for the client. So they sort of move through resources on their own, maybe less interaction with you as the practitioner and more emphasis on the content that you have for them. So maybe it's like a resource library they have access to, maybe a membership style offering. Just anything that's going to, anything you think that's going to help them maintain the results that they've already experienced in the work you've done together so far. So whether that's the one-on-one work or the group program work, anything that you think is going to be really supportive in allowing them to continue maintaining those results. And then, although at this stage, you as the practitioner may not have as many personal touch points with them, it's still important to keep your clients accountable in this sort of of maintenance stage to continue retaining them in that maintenance and ongoing support type work. So maybe that's looking at like automated tasks or reminders, automated progress check-ins, like that kind of thing. So Britt's going to walk us through all of that in this example here. So let's dive into that.
Perfect. So I have created an evergreen program that's going to act as a membership style offering. So each module acts as a category to house different resources and tools to support the client ongoing. And as a practitioner, if I choose to, I can regularly update these to continue to bring new and fresh clients or content to the clients should I wish to. So with this one here, there is a reoccurring payment that is set up monthly so that clients have access to the modules as long as they want to be a paying member. So clients will be in this indefinitely until they choose to stop payment or not be a member, in which case you'll unregister them from the maintenance and support program. And it's really easy to set this up. So right here under payment options, when you are first establishing your program, you have a couple of different options. So you have the fixed fee, and that is what we saw with the 6-week group program. But this time around, we are going to do the ongoing payments. And let's look at what that looks like to set up. So for that one there, I have set a $25 reoccurring payment. So you see that we went from the free offering to a bit more and then a higher paid offering, now back down to a lower payment. So given that the client has learned so much already from you and they're now in that maintenance stage, they're just looking for, you know, that little bit of extra support and guidance. So I have brought this back down to being a very accessible kind of monthly payment for my clients. And you can choose what this looks like. You can choose how often clients will be paying this ongoing payment and how often it repeats. And then when you'd like to trigger payments, and then you'll get kind of an automatic description here. You can choose to customize that if you want. So I'm saving that. So again, this maintenance program is acting essentially like a membership style of offering. Okay, so I also want to require billing information when a client registers for this program because that's going to make collecting payments super easy going forward. So when I check this box, their credit card information will be stored confidentially in their client profile. So that is the first thing that I wanted to show you as far as getting kind of this maintenance program established and ready to support my clients kind of ongoing indefinitely until they're ready to kind of, you know, go out on their own and they don't feel like they need that additional support and resources. As Jen mentioned, it's really important still in this time, even though this is meant to be a more hands-off offering for practitioners, this example, and maybe you're going to have less touch points with your clients, we still want them to feel like they have, you know, a sense of accountability and that they have that support. So I want to show you what it looks like to set reoccurring tasks for your clients. So I'm actually going to go back over to our demo client, Mary. Now that I'm in her client profile here, I'm going to navigate over to tasks in the left-hand menu. Okay, now I've already done this so that we have these built out today, but these are reoccurring tasks that Mary is going to have when she's in this maintenance program that are going to come up at the, you know, the frequency I have set so that she has those little reminders as support through her time in the maintenance program. So when I click this here, she'll get a description as to exactly what that is, but let's look at the process of what it looks like to set up a reoccurring task. So when we're setting this up, we get to name it. You can include additional notes to your client so that they know exactly kind of what's required of them or what you're asking. You can set the priority, the due date, so time. You can also set duration. So this is optional, but if you want to kind of further set client expectations so that they properly budget their time in order to complete the task, you can do so here. And you can choose to set a second reminder. So they'll actually get the due date and then a reminder. Okay. And then you can choose for that to recur. So I want the client to be filling out their food journal weekly. So I have set this to weekly, every week on Friday. So at the end of the week, and they are getting kind of reminders so that, you know, that's kind of coming to them in case they have put it off with the impending weekend coming. And I can preview when these tasks are going to come up, save that. Sorry, that was the menu and meal prep. And I've also got the food journal, which I'm going to ask her to do weekly. And then I've also included a little mindful moment here. So this one's a little bit different because I want this one to be a daily thing. So she's going to be getting a daily kind of notification to take that 5 minutes to herself to do whatever, it is that's going to bring her a little bit of peace, a little bit of ability to manage daily stressors, that kind of idea. And the modules that I've set up in this maintenance program all support this. So she's got lots of tools to choose from. And again, I've set this to being a daily thing every day at 2 p.m., right when that afternoon slump can hit. And she's going to get a notification that she can kind of take that kind of 5 minutes. So it's not unlike when your Apple Watch tells you to stand up and move and, get the extra kind of steps in, something along those lines, so that my client has that little extra reminder and kind of push to be accountable to herself. All right. So yeah, the client will just receive those tasks at the frequency and duration you set, but you only need to manually do this once. So you are going into the client, kind of every client in that program. But once you do this, kind of they'll run indefinitely until the client is ready to be done in your maintenance program.
Yeah, I love this, Britt. And one thing that just came to mind that I wanted to mention on this is we also have a mobile app. So maybe not all of you know that, but Practice Better is a mobile app that both the practitioner and the client can use. And so that means that things like this, when, especially when it's a maintenance program or anything, really, they can have all of that at their fingertips. And, some of these reminders that Britt's showing here, that could go, right on their phone because they have the app on their phone. So it just makes it really accessible and really supports that, accountability piece. Just makes it a little easier for them to access all of your, tasks or even any of the content that you share. Yeah, I see a couple of comments. I love the app. My clients love the app as well. That's awesome, Samantha. Tracy asked, is the mobile app able to be branded? Not at the moment. No, that's just the desktop version of Practice Better that you can brand on some of the higher plans. Yeah. Okay, and there's been a few questions coming through here. So let's see. So someone did ask about creating automatic charges for a membership style program. So maybe, Britt, let's go back to the membership program and just show that one more time. But yes, you can. So it's just a matter of choosing the correct payment model, the pricing model there under payment options. And just ensuring that you choose ongoing payments. So that's going to ensure that those payments, whatever amount you put in for your offering, will recur, on a consistent basis, ongoing, basically. So that's somewhat of a new feature too in the platform that we're really loving. That's really, enabling you to run those membership style programs or just collect those ongoing indefinite payments from your clients. Awesome. Okay. Someone had asked, can I offer my program to international based clients? Yeah, for sure. I mean, in terms of the currency piece, that was another question someone had asked, could they charge US dollars? Absolutely. Like, we're both in Canada. So what Britt's showing, you may see Canadian dollars showing up, but you can choose the currency. So you can, put that into US dollars or whatever currency you'd like to use. But yeah, you could definitely, offer your program to international clients. I mean, I guess certain regulatory bodies with certain designations may have restrictions around that. So that would be, something you would need to make sure you looked into on your end. But, it doesn't matter where the client is located, they can access Practice Better. So hopefully that helps answer that question. And Britt's just showing us here all the different types of currencies that we have, and you can also set them as your default currency too, so that anytime you create a new offering, that will automatically be the currency that you're charging. Perfect. Okay, amazing. Yeah, I see more comments about the app. The app works so well. Awesome. Yeah, we love the app too. Okay, amazing. So, Britt, anything else you were going to share on this side of things?
I think that's everything, kind of our time for today. There's so many ways to, continuously engage and support your clients, and all of that is really going to help with retention. And the biggest thing here is takeaway is thinking about the client journey and mapping it out so that your offerings can run kind of one into the other, and always making sure that you're touching base with them to let them know about what's next and how you can continue to support them.
Yeah, so important to have that communication piece really dialed in. And hopefully we shared, a few different ways that you can do that in the platform. And I think why we were really excited to share this topic as it relates to Practice Better is because there are so many different ways that you can, retain clients using the different features. And, even if we're just looking at sort of that maintenance program stage, there's so many different ways that you can do that, whether it's a resource library or just like more spread out sessions, even just access to the chat, like chat support. That could be another option too that we didn't really touch on, but they can just pay a low fee to just be able to ask you a few questions every month. There's something along those lines. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. But I love what you said, Britt, about just making sure that you're always, communicating with the client during whichever phase of work you're at together, to share how they can continue working with you. So it's not only important to have that communication, but also making sure that they're getting the real value and results from your work together, because that is just a really natural, genuine way to encourage them to want to continue working with you, right? So there's lots of ways that you can do that in Practice Better as well.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that a lot of this can be scheduled and planned in advance. So as you're actually, in the planning stages of your content, when you're actually building everything out, you can set those communications up pretty much at that time. At least kind of the framework of it, where you can later customize it if you need to, but it becomes a really streamlined process where you don't have to kind of manually be thinking about all these additional things that need done. It makes it really efficient for you as the practitioner.
Yeah, and that efficiency piece, that's our jam, right? At Practice Better, that's just what we always want to support you in doing, is creating those efficiencies in your practice to support your workflow, the growth of your business, and to create that amazing experience for your client, all the things. So yeah, love that.
Amazing.
Well, thank you everyone so much. We hope this deep dive was helpful for you and really sharing some simple but effective ways you can boost client retention using Practice Better throughout that entire client journey, really. Again, if we didn't get to your question, we apologize, but we do have an amazing customer support team, help@practicebetter.io. I'll put that into the chat right now in case you want to copy over that email. Please do follow up with us. We would love to hear from you. And just one last time, we will be having that feedback survey pop up as soon as this session ends. I'll also put the link in the chat one more time. We would love to get your feedback. Again, we value it so much because it helps inform how we can support you better going forward, right? So it'll only take you maybe 30 seconds, a minute to complete. So we would really, really appreciate that. Okay, I think that's everything, Britt.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got the feedback survey in there. We always love seeing your thoughts and kind of taking inspiration for the next topic. So hopefully we'll see you next month.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you again next month. Take care.